What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm gonna be breaking down the hand pivot. We got asked by one of our subscribers for more content on the hand pivot, which tells me that guys are really struggling with it, especially when they're trying to learn it on their own. All right, so in this video, I'm gonna go over drills, feels, all sorts of different concepts, so that way you can better understand the hand pivot and implement this stuff right now and get better at it today. So the first thing I wanna talk about is about how we hold the bat. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people that are not setting themselves up for success simply because they're too eager to try to just get right after the hand pivot from the position that they came in, that they started with. I would say I've done this for what, 8-9 years now, and very rarely do people come in with a specific handset. Even the big leaguers that we work with come in with a very specific handset, and then they're like, hey, I'm just gonna figure it out from right there. All right, most of the time, we usually do a lot of neck slot stuff, which is basically just where the barrel's right here on your neck. And one of the reasons why this works is because it kind of takes your arms out of the equation. When the barrel's up here, I feel the weight in my arms. And if I'm used to always slotting my elbow or pivoting down like this, which most people are when they're trying to learn this swing, if that's what I'm used to, it's gonna be really hard for me to make that change when my hands start in the same spot that I've always been in, because my body is gonna resort to whatever it can to make sure I make contact with that ball. Nobody wants to swing and miss, right? Everybody wants to hit the ball hard. And so even though in your mind you're thinking, okay, I'm doing this, you're actually just doing the same stuff that you've always done, which makes learning the hand pivot really difficult. So that's usually why the go-to move when you're first learning it is to just go off of the neck. But let's say you've done that for a while, and then whenever you put your hands back up and you go to hit, whether it's in the cage or in a game, you still struggle with turning the barrel. These concepts that I give you right here should help you learn how to get yourself in a really good spot, so that way when you launch, you actually feel it in your hands. So first things first, with your hand position, a lot of guys that come in and they have really high elbows, they usually start with the barrel kind of in their hands a little bit like this, okay? And this is usually from guys who have lived their careers doing this move right in here in order to get the barrel to turn. So they're slotting their elbow and then they're pushing the barrel through the zone like that, okay? And that usually happens because one, the elbow's above the thumb, which I'll talk about in a second, but two, I feel this like in my fingers and in this palm of my hand right in here. I wanna feel like I can actually use my thumb to help turn the barrel, okay? So for most people, that thumb line's gonna be kind of down and that elbow's usually gonna be underneath the thumb, for most people. There are Hall of Famers that have hit with extremely high elbows. I get it, I'm not saying you have to lower your elbow, but most people, when they start to figure this out, they do end up usually lowering their elbow and get themselves in a good spot where they can kind of feel their scap get engaged, and then they can turn the barrel in their hands using the pad of their thumb. Okay, so what I mean by that is right in here, it's really easy for me to do this move, okay? Which you'll see a lot of false feels whenever we start this, okay? Whenever new guys come in and they start working on turning the barrel, they'll sit there, they'll see all of our other guys like do these feels, right? Right in here, right before they hit, they get set up, okay, I feel it in my hands. And then when they go and get set up and they're trying to get that feel, you see a lot of this. Which, if you can see, that's just me working on the elbow. That's just me working on the elbow slot. I haven't actually made any ground towards that ball yet, okay? You see my elbow comes down, but my elbow comes down after I felt it in my hands. So if I can feel it in my hands, it makes room for the elbow to get underneath when I go. If I don't feel it in my hands and I feel all the weight in my arms and in my elbow, it's easy for me to go like this, okay? And then push the barrel through the zone. Two very different moves. So I like to think that I'm gonna take this barrel with my thumb and actually press it into the barrel and use my thumb and like my thumb pad to actually turn this barrel. So my bottom hand is doing this move, okay? And my top hand is doing this move. In combination, it feels like I'm splitting the wood between them, okay? And I feel like my thumb is like the muscle that's really doing it. I would say for most people, that helps them out a lot. And so when you take that approach and then you go off the neck slot, it's a lot easier to feel it in your hand. And then when you put them up to wherever you want to put them at, now I feel like I can do it in my hands. Once my elbow gets really high, it starts to change where, so I'll take my elbow right in here and I'll start to really raise it up. It starts to change how that barrel or how that handle is sitting in my hand now. Now I don't really feel like I'm gonna be able to use my thumb. Maybe some of you can, okay? But for most of the hitters that I work with, that's really hard. And especially if they came in, like I said, with that high elbow, and then they slot it, it's gonna be even harder to try to figure out the difference in feels between those two because you're swinging so fast. And like I said, you don't wanna miss the ball, so you're gonna make adjustments in your swing. You're gonna compensate at a very high level, and then you're just gonna think that you're turning the barrel, but in reality, you're doing the same thing, okay? Like this in order to push it. So now that we kind of got that point, taking the thumb pad and trying to split the wood in between our hands, now I'm gonna get into some of the drills that really help guys when they're first starting, learn how to do this really well, and then even some more advanced drills once you kind of get the feel. So this doesn't really have a name because it's just a pool noodle that's cut and wrapped around a really small PVC pipe. Okay? And you're probably thinking like, what the heck does he have with that? Well, what I'm gonna do here is show you how we make it, because this little tool that is very inexpensive, whatever, I can get a pack of pool noodles for 10 to 20 bucks on Amazon, and this little PVC pipe for a couple of dollars at Home Depot. All right. One of the easiest things you can do to learn the hand pivot is actually hit something behind you extremely hard and be able to sell out on it with different tools. Okay. It's one of the easiest ways to pick up how sudden and how hard you actually have to turn it in order to do it. Because most people, when they're first learning how to turn it, they only turn it at like, on a scale from 1 to 10, like a 5, maybe a 7. And then they don't realize like, oh, I need to actually get this thing turned at a 10. I got to be all in on the hand pivot. This is one of the ways you do it. So I'm building it right now on camera so that way you can see. All I'm doing is I cut open this pool noodle and I wrapped it around this PVC pipe, and I'm gonna start the tape right here. There's a little bit of a cut on the tape, so I can start it on the PVC pipe. That way it doesn't move, because once guys start hitting it, it does kind of slide around. And then I'm gonna wrap it right here on this, okay? Doesn't matter how it looks, doesn't need to be pretty. You're just gonna wrap the heck out of it. Okay, pinch that bottom half so it actually stays there. If you wanna be really about it, you can even go one down onto the pipe itself, just like that. Make a cut. Okay, and then just pinch it right in here so it actually stays. All right, now that that's gonna stay, it's not gonna be sliding around a lot. Now I'm gonna just tape a couple pieces of tape across this so that way it actually sticks. I usually go one in the middle and then one on top. So here's my middle. That way it's nice and tight. And I'm just gonna cover this little slit right here at the top, pull it tight. So now this thing's not moving, okay? I'm gonna show you video of one of our pro guys doing it when he was first learning it, and it's very, very helpful, but all it is a coach standing behind him with this thing out there, ready for him to hit the heck out of it, okay? And he is just taking his barrel and these other implements and trying to snap it into that pipe as hard as he physically can at a 10. That's why having this very cheap, inexpensive tool is so useful, because you actually have something to hit. I have seen other players hit punching bags and stuff like that. That's fine, I don't care. It doesn't matter what you hit, but this has been probably the easiest thing for us to be able to use, as long as you have somebody else there who can hold it. All right, so now let's talk about the Propeller. I really like the Propeller. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I've been using it. However, there are some issues with how people hold it that I just want to make clear in this video. If I can hit the ball on the bottom paddle flush, that means I'm holding it correctly, okay? So it doesn't matter if it's a side flip, if it's a straight on flip, if it's a tee, doesn't matter. If in my mind I can turn the barrel correctly and hit it with the bottom paddle, then that means I'm holding it good, okay? So if you're holding it like this, when you actually go to turn, see how I can't hit anything with the flush side doing this, okay? It doesn't matter where it's at. When I go to turn it, I'm gonna end up chipping it on this side, which happens a lot when people are first using this tool, all right? So with us, just try to hit that thing on the bottom paddle first, hold it in a way where you know that you can, and then now when you turn it, you're gonna be right there on the flush side when you go to turn it, okay? Now, when we're doing this, my goal is to be able to hear the wind behind me. I have no idea if this microphone can pick it up, all right? But I'm gonna do it really hard because I hope that it can, okay? But when I'm doing it, if I can hear that wind behind me, I know that I'm torquing this handle. And when I'm doing it, I also feel like my thumb is operating like this, okay? Like I have the ability in my thumb, put immediate pressure into the handle this way, okay? Yes, my fingers can also help, but I feel like my thumb is really doing a lot of the work for me, okay? Now remember, this hand's turning this way, this hand and my thumb turning this way. Go off the neck, right around in here. I can turn it really fast. Even if I'm up a little higher, maybe further away, I still feel that in my hands, feel that in my bottom hand with my thumb. Same thing, okay? If it's high, okay, right up in here, which is normally like, I find myself in video hitting up here when I hit, that's fine. Get to your spot, turn, same thing, okay? Doesn't matter if I'm down low, this is really uncomfortable for me, but if I'm down low and I feel that in my hands, I feel this in my hand, my thumb turning it this way, now I feel like I can do that from that spot. All right, so it doesn't really matter necessarily where your hands are, as long as you have that feeling that you can turn this in your hands. And it has to be at a 10. So using other tools in order to learn how to do it at a 10 is very, very helpful. Now, the difference between a propeller and a half bat is that if you hold the propeller correctly, it'll tell you right from wrong. However, you still have to have the knowledge on like how to hold it correctly, okay? With this bat, you can hold it any way you want, and as long as you swing the crap out of it and make contact, you can still have flush contact and hit it well. This bat, you hold it wrong, and you go to hit it, so let's say I hold it like this and I go to hit it. Now when I actually do it, I'm going to be cutting balls right off the side of this thing. Plus, if I push it, let's say I'm even holding it correctly and I push it and I go this way when I do it, this thing's gonna be underneath my elbow or I actually crack it right there, and it kind of hurts if you do it hard enough, okay? So if your pivot is super late, you slot your elbow and you push right in there, it's not gonna feel good. And so what we've done is actually we're developing a hitting tool right now that fixes that. It's basically one of those tools that when you put it in your hands, you're either gonna do it right or wrong without really any knowledge of how to actually do it. Now, there isn't a hitting tool out there in the world that doesn't require coaching. I get that. So we are gonna provide coaching with this new hitting tool, but I'm super excited about it because right when you put it in your hands, it doesn't matter if you're 8 years old or if you're 25, you're in the big leagues. Right when you put it in your hands, you can know this is the right spot. I'm at a good spot. As long as I turn this barrel correctly, I'm gonna have a good result, which is super impressive. All right, that's a shameless plug for our new hitting tool. So in this video now, I'm showing you one of our pro guys going through feels and snap stops with the propeller, okay? But you could imagine this is with anything. He does this with a lot of different tools as well. But the reason why he takes his hands, I call it the helicopter, and he goes up here on top, this feel right here, is because it's all in his forearms. Generally what happens is when guys don't feel this suddenness in their hands when they go to turn it, if they don't feel that suddenness, then they feel like it's arms and like the weight is in their shoulders and elbows and they're trying to manipulate the barrel like that. So if you take that thing, whatever you're using, and you go up here to feel it, and then you take it down in here when you actually go to hit, it's the same exact feel with my forearms that I'm doing. And imagine now, it's gonna be around my neck on every pitch, okay? So if it's high, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing, okay? Same feel I have right here. If it's high, it's gonna be a little bit flatter, right? If it's a little bit lower in the middle, it's the same exact move. The only thing that changes is how much I tilt. Same thing, extremely low, the only thing that changes, how much I tilt. But I'm still working around my neck on every single turn, trying to turn the barrel in place, okay? Right here, and letting my leg and my body take me to the ball, all right? I'm not trying to pivot through space. I'm trying to pivot in space and catch every ball right here at 6 o'clock, regardless of the tool that you're using. So I have posted this drill a lot in the past, and you can use any implement with this, but right now I have the propeller in my hand, so I'm just gonna use that. And we use every single implement with this drill, by the way. I call it the training wheels. Actually, I didn't call it that. One of our pro guys named it that because whenever he starts pushing the barrel, he falls back to this and fixes it instantly, okay? All you gotta do is put one of these small bands around your neck, which you can find on Amazon, because I know somebody's gonna ask. And the goal here is that I don't want to feel the force in my arms and the band get tight and pulled tight when I go to hit. I wanna be able to pivot in space, in one spot, not through space at it, all right? Now, the second thing is when I'm doing these drills, especially if I'm really struggling with creating depth behind me, I'm slotting my elbow and I'm pushing everything out front. I don't want to have the tee way out in front of me. It's going to be really hard to sell out at a 10 on stuff behind me when it's way out there, all right? I'm going to have the urge to go forward. So to just take care of that and remove the urge to go forward with my arm, I put the tee slightly behind me. It's really that simple. Once you put the tee behind you, now you can sell out on two things, the hand pivot and actually pivoting in space without any urge to go forward and at the ball that's way out in front of you. And you can also sell out on the tilt, all right? Now, even when I demonstrate this, most of you guys see my head's going backwards, my body's going backwards and all that, right? That's the over-exaggeration. That is literally the constraint that I'm focusing. I'm focusing on the tilt and the hand pivot. I'm doing that on purpose, okay? When I add my forward move and I pick my leg up and I exaggerate the same things, you don't see that, okay? Because I'm going forward and I'm pivoting down my back, and you see that actually I do have effort here, all right? Now, I don't have effort with my arms pushing the barrel, but this exaggeration helps with being able to get everything behind me. I'm selling out at a 10 back here, okay? So, I'm gonna do a couple demonstrations for you so you can see it. Now, just to be clear, this thing literally is behind me. These balls are gonna be hit more towards the first baseline. I don't really care about the contact. I'm trying to get the feel. I don't wanna feel any effort into the band, okay? On and around. Full sell out behind me, on and around, full sell out behind me. This one I'm gonna get more of my leg involved. I'm gonna burst my hip to second base, see if that helps me feel that direction a little bit better. Right in there, that was a really good one, okay? And all I did was exaggerate a little bit more of this. So you can coach yourself as you do these drills and feels, all right? So let's say now you got the hand pivot down. You feel really good with these drills, and more so like the thought process behind it. I hope that you understand it a little bit more, and I gave you some stuff to work on. But let's say that you got that, and then you go take video of yourself and you're like, man, I'm still pushing the barrel. Like, it's kind of improved, but I'm still pushing the barrel. Take a look at your rear leg, all right? If you're constantly slipping your rear leg and you don't have any control over your load, over the ratio, which is how much I coil, okay, is also how much I go up the back, which is also how much I go forward. If you don't have control over that ratio, it doesn't matter how good your hand pivot is. You're still gonna fly forward out of that, try to pivot the barrel, and then push your hands regardless, all right? So if that's you, take a look at that, and if you're looking for more rear leg content, go ahead, click this link up there, and we have that for you here. All right, guys, so like I said, I hope that that information helped you out, helped you get some better context on how to actually turn the barrel more efficiently. And if you like that content, go ahead, check out in the description our new Players Network down below. The Players Network is a really vital source, okay? Because there's all sorts of programming on there. There's even recruiting guides. There's everything for strength conditioning, throwing, and hitting development. On top of that, what we're trying to do in this community is make sure that we provide a ton of value. So in that community, you're gonna see content that you'll never see here on our YouTube channel. We're also gonna do live Q&As and even live training sessions where we actually show our community what we're doing in the moment, and free events right here in Arizona. All right, so if you're interested in any of that, go ahead, click the link down below in the description and subscribe for more.